town on Valentine's Day, everybody loses their heart.
Roses are red, violets are blue. One is dead, and so are you.
It can't be happening again.
Stop!
It can't be happening again.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello.
This week, we're doing something special. We have a special holiday treat for all you lovers out there. Celebrating Valentine's Day, we're doing the immortal classic, My Bloody Valentine, starring many, many Canadians.
Oh,
good
so
times.
many Canadians. I didn't even have to look to see if it was a special nod to the Canadian Film Board. It was like watching old episodes of SCTV.
No question. All I was
couldn't
missing was a
be-
few more.
Honestly, every stereotypical Canadian phrase, sound, a boot, it was
Yep.
all there.
It was all there. I mean, they filmed this in Nova Scotia. So there you go. Good times. Getting the good Canadian tax breaks. So it was I think if you look at like the credits, it's like featuring the Nova Scotia Players or something as the cast. It was some bizarre reference as that as well. So
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, when they were in the sheriff's office, I could see all the Canadian badges and stuff, but no, they couldn't be more Canadian if they tried.
which we don't judge. You know, whatever floats
We
your boat.
judge
Our
a
neighbors.
little.
Okay, we do.
We judge
I take
a
it all
little
back.
bit. We judge
Now,
I
Aaron,
mean, we like John Candy.
we do.
We like Eugene Levy. We like anyone who was ever on SCTV.
Yes. Michael J. Fox is good.
Canada's had some good serial killers and shit going on there too. We like that.
Oh, I don't know if we like them specifically. We're not
like
rooting
true
for serial killers in
We like
Canada.
we like true crime.
Okay. So, had you ever heard? Well, have you heard of this movie? I'm going to start there.
I mean, I've heard the title. That's as far as it got. And frankly, it started off, I had high hopes.
High hopes. And okay, so but you've never seen this before.
I've never, ever seen it before.
And you'd remember if you'd seen this before.
I think I would remember.
I mean, I have to say, I think I've seen this once or twice before within the last 15 years. There was something about this movie that kind of separates it from the other kind of rando crap kind of Halloween impersonators. Because there were a ton of them. The New Year's Evils and things like that, kind of flash through your Happy Birthday to You or whatever. I mean, movies that exist, but that no one that you know has ever seen. This seems to be a step above.
I mean, this for sure is Canadian Jason. It is
Right.
Canadian Friday the 13th.
Absolutely. I mean, make no mistake. This is not Halloween. This is not Friday the 13th. This is not Nightmare on Elm Street. This is several rungs below that.
I mean,
But-
it is a solid first 30 minutes of late 70s, early 80s wackiness.
But there's a point
A
where you're
solid
like,
30 minutes.
oh, very sad. No, I mean, I think I remember seeing like the box at the video store, but I never watched it until well into the odds. If I'm being honest with our listeners.
All right.
Um,
And they appreciate when you're honest with them, Kevin.
I'll never lie to you. I'll never break your heart.
I'm holding the
Anywho,
lighter up right now.
please do. But I think what kind of injected this back into my memory is, 10 or 12 years ago, there was a remake, My Bloody Valentine in 3D, which was an American version of the Nova Scotia classic. So, and I think it's the exact same plot, except they changed who the killer is.
Oh,
which
you mean it's not Gordon Lightfoot's running through the caves or whatever?
it is absolutely sundown, and you better take
You
care.
better take care.
Good old Gord's gold, baby.
Also Canadian.
And a fine singer, I gotta tell you.
And a little bit of trivia, his girlfriend when he wrote all these songs was in fact the one who injected John Belushi.
Is that true?
Truth,
Oh,
my brother.
damn! It's all connected.
It all
I'll
goes
tell
back
you what.
to Canada.
And I have to say, it does. I have to say, I talked to you about this briefly. I hesitate to mention music groups
Uh-oh.
because in our body double episode, we mentioned, and perhaps in disparaging terms, I don't really recall us hammering Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Frankie, if you're listening, I know there's not a member of the band named Frankie.
Yeah.
That's Frankie's favorite relax.
Yeah, I know nothing about Frankie Goes to Hollywood except for relax and a shirt that says Frankie says relax.
Frankie say relax. I was in a deep dive today trying to figure out, because look, we all love relax, but I got to tell you, the U.S. charts are different than the U.K. charts, number one. So what were big hits?
Our rageful fan of Frankie Goes to Hollywood is coming from the UK?
Yes. I mean, and you know what? I have to. Things can be lost, in the cold, dead world of Twitter. It's possible he was just, casually mentioning, hey, they had more than one hit. Hey, Frankie, Jethro Tull was not a member of the band either. Okay, I get it.
True.
I get it. So anyway,
and the Scorpions were not really Scorpions.
Not really Scorpions, though they were from Germany. So who's to say? It's a wild.
The V-Man.
That's correct. So anyway, big fan of Gordon Lightfoot, and I like relax. I'm not going to go through the entire Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
I think you have
discography. Well, they were only together for a few years, so they had like one album and then a couple more singles. See, I did do a deep dive. These aren't the Beatles. Frankie.
What's the B-side of Relax?
Their big hits in the UK, since we're going down this rabbit hole. You got obviously Relax. There was another song called Two Tribes, which I actually remember because I remember watching.
There was a band called Two Tribes, wasn't there?
It's entirely possible.
Sing it. Well, sing the Two Tribes song.
I remember hearing it and not being that impressed when they guested on Saturday Night Live back in '85. So beyond that, I can't ring it. The third one was something called Power of Love, which is kind of
the power of love.
That's the one. Right.
Except that ain't the one.
Don't need money. Don't need fame.
Don't need no credit card to ride this train.
You know it, don't you?
I didn't know that was Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
That's Huey Lewis.
Remember that. I know that. You bastard.
Well, I don't want the Huey Lewis fans coming after me next. So why don't we jump right into My Bloody Valentine? Oh, sweet Jesus.
You ready for my 30-second review?
Hit me with your 30-second synopsis.
Canada. Canada's answer to Jason. But you would think hockey mask, right? Canada. No. Actually, something much cooler and far more sinister. I don't know. It looked like something out of Hostel that these miners were wearing. It was terrifying. During the height of the pandemic, somebody rolls up next to me dressed like that. I'm running scared. Anyway, the miner supervisors left people down in the mine because they had to get to the party. The town is like 5 people, so it's not like it's the same motherfucker you see every day of the week. But let's just leave some new miners at the bottom of the hellhole and go to the party. Oh no, there's a gas leak. Oh no, explosion. Oh no, somebody's left. I'm going to kill those miners who went to the party. And then I put a curse on the town. No more Valentine's Day parties. And because they're so polite and Canadian, once they thought that they had canceled the Valentine's dance 20 years later, He was gonna back off. Okay, take off, thanks. Thanks for canceling and respecting my wishes. Oh no, you didn't. Now I'm gonna go kill Ottawa's finest. Woo! A dude wanders off at the end, leaving the door open for part 2 that never came. The end.
Nicely done. Succinct, easy to
Succinct.
follow. Good
I would
time.
say, like I said, the best part is the first 30 minutes because you're introduced to that scary, it looks like something right out of Hostel. Am I right or am I wrong?
Because they work in a mine. There's like
But it's
the
not
whole
like
town.
Coal Miner's Daughter. These people are wearing like vinyl suits or something. It's very kind of dungeony, terrifying.
Well, they wear like a jumpsuit, a gas mask, and a helmet with a light on a miner's helmet.
And goggles. It's not like Mooney in Coal Miner's Daughter.
It's not Tommy Lee Jones.
It's not
Exactly.
Tommy Lee Jones. It's more hostile than Tommy Lee Jones.
Well, we're assuming it's a coal mine. It could be a uranium mine. We have no idea. It could be
Uranus mine. I don't know. We don't know what the hell they're doing. They're mining, and yet nothing actually seems to be leaving the mine. Except a bunch of knuckleheads.
It's a knucklehead mine, is what it is, basically. No, but I have to talk about, so the movie starts where there's 2 miners in full regalia deep into the earth, and then it quickly is like, oh, we're having sex. The woman takes off her top. And so one of the miners is a woman, takes off her helmet, pulls off, her bra is exposed. The other dude is like, it's like Revenge of the Nerds. Remember that, where the dude doesn't want to take off his mask to reveal who he is?
We call that rape now, Kevin.
That exactly. You cannot seek sexual favors through coercion. Okay? It's against the gents, if you're listening. No can do.
Like if you have a twin brother and you decide to do the old Jeremy Irons switcheroonie, somebody could go to jail for that.
Absolutely. So she starts undoing, she tries to take off his mask. He's like, no. So does she not know who he was?
Apparently not. She don't care. And literally, they've made the only female miner in this whole group a hoe. A dead hoe.
We don't use those labels. We don't slut shame in this house. We don't. She is liberated. Okay? She goes to
her life. She liberated her life is what happened there.
She goes to, you're telling me, she goes to minerdate.com and it's like sight unseen. I'll meet you in the bottom of the uranium mine in full regalia, and then we'll just get to business. And you're right. He quickly murders her by impaling her on a pickaxe that he stuck into the wall. And I just had to think, he must be crazy, right? I mean, you think things aren't going that bad if a hot miner woman is like, let's go, let's go plumb the shaft. Oh my goodness. She's
rocking her like 70s hangover makeup. It's like khaki green eyeshine with her just brassy, bleached out hair, looking her best.
You better believe it. She was Miss Nova Scotia in 1978, if you know what I'm saying.
She's wearing the classic, like, mom bra, pre-Victoria's Secret. It's fantastic. It's
highly erotic. Very, very much so. So he kills her. But here's what we said earlier. They literally say this is a town of like 2,300 people. So there's never a scene where people are like, what happened to Sally? We saw her last night and she disappeared. There's never any reference to her again, and no one ever finds her body.
Nope, don't giza. And then just for fun, they just like left all the new miners, including Dead Sally. They just left them in the bottom of the mine, which interesting. That only delayed them 5 minutes. Yet later on in the movie, nobody could figure out how to get out.
Right.
And yet, right. At the beginning, everybody walked out when they couldn't take the elevator.
Well, yeah, what they
Anyway,
said, right. So there's an elevator that goes down into the mine shaft. There's kind of a Snow White and the Seven Dwarves kind of mine ride that kind of goes down into it. But you can walk
Snow
that.
White and the Seven Dwarves is one of the all-time classics.
One of the obvious inspirations for this movie, I would say.
Clearly.
Good Lord.
They
But I have to
steal from Stanley Kubrick. They steal from
Absolutely.
Otto Preminger. It is just a classic.
It's a classic from stem to stern. But there's that when they are regaling the story. Evidently, Valentine's Day. Well, isn't the town called Valentine's Bluff or something like that?
Yes.
So, by virtue of that, the most important day of the year is Valentine's Day. But
Not
they
for
talk
20
about
years, apparently.
not for 20 years. Well, they talked about, like you said, there was that mining accident where it was a cave-in because of the negligence of the supervisors who were like, damn, we got to get to that party. And when they tunneled in 6 weeks later, only one miner was left who was driven insane and cannibal, basically.
That's right. He was like chewing on one of his buddy's arm like a dog with a turkey bone.
And that's with people knocking on the door saying, "Here, we're here to rescue." He's like, "Hang on, let me finish this. Let me finish this limb I've been nibbling on for the last 6 weeks."
Literally is rescued, looks at the light, screams at him, and scurries off like a rat with his hand.
It's true. That was actually a creepy moment when they saw him and he screams, albino with blood on him. That did something to me. It made me a little frightened. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Oh, nothing. Okay, so you're brave. You're like, this ain't nothing to me.
I was brave enough.
Oh, sweet Jesus. So they rescue him, but he's obviously.
I would like to make a statement at this time.
Please jump in.
During not one time in this movie was I either startled or frightened. I think if we check my Apple Watch, I'm going to see a real steady pace.
Okay.
Like 58. I'm half into a coma.
There were a couple good, creepy moments. Now, are we talking, Clutch the Pearls? And my friend Sanford go, "Oh my God, Elizabeth, baby, I'm coming to join you." No, I'm not saying that. But there are a couple effective moments, and that was one of them. When they go like, they found Harry Warden 6 weeks later. That was a moment.
I'm telling you, it's all part of that first 30 minutes. Once we go into the mine, it's all downhill.
Okay. Yes, I will stipulate.
It's all over. I liked watching all the goofy guys at the beginning coming off with their way too good looking girl. Only pretty girls live in this little mining town with their hair all perfectly feathered and kissing potion lipstick. Dating the most unattractive men only in this small Nova Scotia town. I like them all hanging out, drinking some weird Canadian beer and Schlitz malt liquor like that. And like I said, I like the costumes, but as soon as we go into the party's canceled, so we're just gonna go hang out at the mine. It all went straight to shit,
right down the crapper. Well, the thing about it is so they are now planning on throwing. Did they explain what the impetus was to bring back the Valentine's Day party? It just seemed like kind of a spontaneous, oh, hey, I guess we're going to do that party again, even though, scary Harry Warden cursed the town 20 years
it's
ago.
the 20th anniversary, so it seemed like a good time then.
20th anniversary of the massacre and the cannibal rage. Yes, okay.
And the cannibal,
we have to celebrate.
And the cannibal holocaust, as we'll call it.
Exactly. There is one scene where it's like
Frankie says, "Relax."
You sound like you were very relaxed watching this because you literally just finished this 5 minutes ago. I watched this last night.
I paid my $3 after I cooked dinner, and I think the credits are still rolling in my room.
Oh,
It's
No,
fresh
I
in
watched
my
it.
mind.
I watched it last night in bed, and I fell asleep 6 times. And I kept having to wake myself up, kind of smack myself. Come on, wake up, and
That's not going to
barely managed to
happen
finish
when
it.
you watch Flesh for Frankenstein. I'm just going to say that.
Oh, okay. Moving on. There's a scene. So, okay, now they're throwing the party. These like heart-shaped boxes keep popping up with human hearts in the boxes. That's the warning. Don't throw the Halloween party. Woo! Don't do it.
Hey, you
There's one
guys,
scene.
I would be much appreciated because of the trauma 20 years ago if you just don't have the party. Okay, thanks.
You
Here's
love
some
your
candy.
Canadian accent. No, and it's a good one. Not too shabby. But there's a scene where the cop is like, "Oh my god, I gotta get back to the station," and you see him turn the car around, and there's just a wild dog running on, and he almost gets hit. He almost hits the wild dog. It's like maybe reshoot that one. I don't know,
No,
is
they're
that
like,
part
keep
of it?
that in. Keep that in. That's gold.
Well, because
You
later in the movie there are wild dogs. Like somebody left another heart-shaped box outside the police station. There's like 4 dogs like pulling on it.
That one dog was going to bite him. Dogs don't know how to act. This isn't like Lassie. That one dog was about ready to take him off.
That is true. That I had to write that
God.
down. It was, yes, he's a method actor. That's how they do it. Speaking of acting, I don't know what the story is, but TJ is back in town, the mayor's son, because they said he went west for some reason, but it didn't work out the way he hoped. And again, he's in Nova Scotia. What? He went to Vancouver? What are we talking about? He went west. What are we talking about?
You're right. I assumed he went to Hollywood, but really he went to British Columbia.
Well, and he at no time says like, well, I took a lot of, I was in a lot of plays in high school, so I thought no, it's just kind of like he went west and things didn't work out. So now he's back.
Honestly, Kevin, the whole time I was watching this, I'm like, this would be a perfect Kevin Halloween costume. It looks like he's a French sailor. He has like a very thin kerchief around his neck
Yes, he
for
does.
a coal miner, and his shirt is unbuttoned all the way down to his belly button. And that's the look he's and a red bandana tied around his wrist. He's like some kind of demented French sailor or something.
The French Foreign Legion. The Merchant Marines. And they all kind of looked like somebody more famous. There were multiple times where I was just like, is this somebody that I should recognize? And then I go look, be like, oh, no, this is not anybody. This was like their only movie, or they were on Degrassi
they were
Junior
all
High.
in the same movies after that. It was like several of them went on. Although there was one dude I did recognize, but I didn't realize it was Meatballs. To me, he looked like somebody else.
Yeah, it was a lot of these are the Nova Scotia players, so they just kept bringing them back for whatever else kind of movies they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking.
The Care Bear Bunch. And it's all strictly Canadian bullshit, too.
What does that mean?
That means not American movies.
We don't judge. Look, there are many fine films that were made in Canada, as we all know.
Strange Brew.
That's one. There's a scene where all of the buddies go to like the junkyard and hang out there. And literally they're like cooking food on the engine of a car in the junkyard.
TV dinners.
What is happening?
They're 40 years old. They couldn't pool their money to buy a house?
No.
I'm 40 years old and I'm like having sex with my girlfriend on like benches in the place I work because that's fun. Well, not one of these people had a house they could go to for a party.
Well, even the mayor's son.
10 of them.
The mayor's son. The mayor owns the uranium mine. I'm just gonna keep calling it a uranium mine. I'm sure that's not the right answer, but he owns it. So conceivably, he's rich, right? But the son, they literally have to have a line where like, yeah, he came back from the West, but we put him right back to work in the mine, don't you know? So yeah, good times. But you never see somebody's house, do you? Ever?
No, it's just like some kind of like Main Street, USA. No, you never see anybody's house. You see the laundromat, you see the sheriff's office, you see a junkyard, and then you see like the break room at the mine. That's it. It was a very low budget, eh?
Very, very low budget, you hoser. Take off, eh?
Take off, eh?
I appreciate that they decorated the inside of the laundromat for Valentine's Day. What is happening?
I think they were trying to go for like a northern exposure, pre-northern exposure, or like a Stars Hollow, pre-Stars Hollow. It didn't work out. Another one of those shows.
Does Stars Hollow take place in Canada?
No, I'm just making shit up. Well, Northern Exposure didn't take place in Canada either. I just was thinking quirky
Sicily,
towns.
Alaska. Right. Part of the 50, okay? We love our Alaskan neighbors.
50.
Alaska 50. Or I guess it would be Alaska 49. What else? Is there anything else we want to talk about? I've literally got pages of notes.
I said, why are the guys slapping each other in the ass with towels still?
Oh, yes. The extended, because, okay, they work in the mine all day, so of course they're filthy. So they immediately go to the shower, the built-in showers, and it is like Porky's, but in reverse. It's like Carrie in reverse, where the naked man...
Plug it up.
They were laughing and whipping each other's with towels and throwing the soap at each other and all sorts of good times. It's just like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, they clearly have grown up together and you're still slapping each other in the ass with towels. And it's now just become some kind of homoerotic situation. While Cannonball Run music plays in the background.
Yeah, which is a good thing. That's a positive aspect. But that's when we learned about the love triangle. There's a love triangle because TJ is back from the West.
Okay, just to be clarified, TJ is the French sailor, and Axel, the other rival, is Gordon Lightfoot.
Gordon's got a little scruff to him, doesn't he?
Or is it
Axel?
There's another Gordon Lightfoot. There's another guy who looks even more like Gordon Lightfoot.
Well, there's a dude who looks like Ron Jeremy, big heavy set dude with like a crazy
walrus mustache.
That is correct. Who's like, also a ladies' man.
David Crosby. We're gonna call him David Crosby.
That's what I was going for. He absolutely is David Crosby. That is.
Who I think is Canadian, isn't he?
Is Crosby? I think he's American. Graham Nash is British. So there you go.
Shut up. So what do you know?
He is David Crosby. But so you learn there's the love triangle between TJ, Axel, and the girl whose name escapes me, who's entirely too good looking to be in this movie. She is very pretty, and these two losers are fighting over her constantly. And I guess the idea is that she was with TJ and she's in love with TJ, but TJ bailed to seek his fortune out westward expansion. And so she hooks up with Axel. And so now Axel and TJ are duking. They hang out all the time because there's only one bar with the shuffleboard table that they play on. And so they're constantly around each other.
And there's a Cassandra-like bartender who, like Cassandra, is predicting the future and no one's listening. Who did I put down? He looks just like Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, damn. I don't know. Who are you talking about?
The bartender.
He looks like Billy Bob.
Yeah.
Happy is the bartender.
Like the Curse of Cassandra, knows the truth,
yes,
no one will listen. So he's sitting there saying these weird, enigmatic predictions and poems, and people are like, "You're so wacky. Can I have another Schlitz, please?"
And quit your yapping, pal.
Old man, get me some poutine.
Yes, he was the crazy Ralph of the story from Friday the 13th. It's got a death curse. He's back.
Totally.
He's back telling everybody we shouldn't be throwing the Valentine's dance again. 20 years ago, it ended in pickaxe murders and cannibalism. We shouldn't be doing this. And frankly, he's got it. Even if there's no killer on the loose, maybe don't celebrate Valentine's Day anyway, just because of the pickaxe murders and the cannibalism.
And
Just
did
a
you
thought.
notice there seem to be more severed hearts floating around than actual dead people? They seem to be popping up everywhere.
Well, poor Mabel, who works at the laundromat, is killed, and then her heart gets sent to the chief because I guess they have kind of a flirtation.
Her heart
who else?
belongs to the chief. Then
Right.
there was one in the hot dog water.
That's right. That is absolutely yes. I wrote that down. So they're throwing a party at the mine. And in my mind, you think you just have booze. But they went and like, oh, we're gonna make hot dogs, and we're gonna have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It was like, what? This ain't the kind of parties I'm used to.
Party I've ever been to in my life. The worst.
So homie goes into the little kitchenette to get some hot dogs, and he's attacked by the killer, who grabs him and pushes his face into the boiling water. Again, the door is a foot and a half behind him, where there's 30 frickin' miners, drunk ass miners, and their girlfriends carousing.
And
That's
it's
pretty
really
bold.
nice pushing your head in. You couldn't use your hands to knock that fucking pot off. I mean, come on. Come on.
You don't have to put your head in the pot. You don't have to. Just like Mabel didn't
What's
have to
in the
lay on
pot?
the ground.
No, thank
What's
God,
in the
baby.
pot? Old Mabel's getting chased around the laundromat, and she just lays on the ground at one point. That point, you're just dead meat, I guess. Don't have to lay on the ground.
She's had enough.
Good long life. So I get the murderer boils his head, and then I guess removes his heart and just pops it into the boiling water with the hot dogs. And they're like,
Yes.
what's this?
Stuffs him in the beer cooler.
Shoves him in yes, absolutely. When they reveal who the killer is, it seems so random to me. Totally
I will
random.
tell you, the minute the dude disappeared in the water, I knew it was him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay? Everybody else had an up-close death. There's bubbles coming up from the water, and like, oh no, it's 60 feet deep. I'm like, well, bubbles are coming up. Maybe he's there. And he's like, meh.
Look,
As
I'm
soon-
not a
as soon
miner.
as
Can you
that
not
happened-
swim? Or
Is it a pool of acid? Is it like that Vincent Price movie where the body
Yes.
falls in and the skeleton gets up, walks around?
that's
Yeah.
correct. It's the house on Haunted Hill.
The House on Haunted Hill. That is the moment that I knew he was the killer.
Now, they explain, okay, so Axel is revealed as the killer at the 11th hour, but he's not killing people in a jealous rage. Because again, he's about to be the jilted boyfriend, essentially. He can see the writing on the wall. It's because his dad was one of the party-going supervisors 20 years ago who was murdered by Harry Warden. And he was hiding under the bed and saw the murder. And I guess it scarred him. It scarred him, so now he's back for
It
murders.
scarred him so much that for 20 years he lived like just a totally normal life until 20 years later, this Valentine's Day, where he decided
correct.
to be like a gibbering 1950s crazy person with their and then laughing as he wanders off into the mine.
I kind of like
10
that
minutes
part.
before, 10 minutes before, he's got a job, he's got a girlfriend, he has
Yes.
friends, it's a totally normal life, and then bing!
Yes, that is correct. Well, yes. Well, because the whole time you think it's Harry Warden has escaped from the psycho ward. The cannibal from 20 years ago is back to continue his revenge. And there's scenes where the chief is like calling the psycho ward going, hey, do you still got Harry locked up down there? And they're like, who? The cannibal? This is Nova Scotia. How many deranged cannibals you got locked up in there?
I told you when the weather's dark, bad things happen.
When the weather outside is frightful.
It is frightful.
But it was like no recollection. They're like, I don't know. I have to look in the files. Really? Really? It's like, I don't know.
You say there was a murder in town 20 years ago? Well, we never talk about that here.
I have no recollection.
That tiny Nova Scotia has their own mental asylum.
They do. And it's packed. It is full to bursting. We have so many damn psychotic cannibals in here, I can't keep track of half of them. Who's to say?
That's where the Green River Killer went.
You're telling me. So you think it's Harry Warden back to get his revenge, but then the reveal is, no, he died 5 years ago. So he's the real one is long dead.
Oh my God, people are just gonna hate us. We've lost Canada. We're on the verge of losing the UK. What's left? We got to double down on Argentina.
Yeah, that's next on our list. But it was almost like, and I think when we look at the notes, it's going to reveal that like nobody knew who the killer, like the actors didn't know who the killer was going to be until the final moments. You know what I mean? Because literally, it could have been the reveal could have been it was any one of them who was hiding under the bed when their father the supervisor was murdered. You know what I mean? It was almost like irrelevant who the killer is. Because there really weren't any indicators until, like you said, that moment. I think once they get to the mine, then they've made up their decision who the killer is.
We knew it wasn't the dude with the walrus or the Kaiser Wilhelm. You know, we knew it wasn't him because the killer was very trim.
That is true. Hollis was in the clear. David Crosby was in the clear because you're right. He was pushing 350. So this guy, the murderer, was not that big.
And I think he's probably the most famous person in this group.
David Crosby?
David Crosby. He was actually in a movie that I'd heard of.
Well, we're going to have to talk about that. What was he in? What was he in?
Meatballs.
What? Who was he in Meatballs?
I'll have to tell you. Keep your blathering, and I'll look it back.
We're gonna figure this out. But so okay, as per usual in Nova Scotia at this time, people are hot to get in that mine. So when the party's starting to break up a little bit, like 6 couples are like, "Hey, stud, let's go down to let's go 2 miles down into the center of the earth, into the uranium mine, because that really gets me hot, sailor." And that's when the shit goes wrong. Okay, I see a picture. Aaron's showing me a picture of. Is that David Crosby?
That is not David Crosby. It is, the actor's name is Keith Knight. See, I don't know why, but this looks really familiar. This is exciting for the people.
Oh, I know him. I absolutely recognize that dude from, yes. Yes, he was one of the nerdy guys. There was Spaz, who was the skinny guy.
Right.
And that was his buddy. His buddy.
It was like
Fink.
Yes.
Yes. Keith Knight played Hollis.
He is by far probably the most successful from this show.
Oh, no, but he looks totally different. Because in this movie...
He dropped Meatballs was before this.
Yes. Meatballs was 2 years before this.
So he packed it on good and hard for this one.
Well, he was a big guy when he played Fink in Meatballs, but his hair is super short and he's clean shaven.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Now it's all coming together. He didn't look like David Crosby in Meatballs. So
no, but he sure as look like David Crosby here.
Yes. Yes.
Two livers down.
Well, when he's in Meatballs, I mean, how old is he supposed to be? 16? Of course, he's 35 in real life. Sweet Jesus. So they all go down the mine to get theirs. So they don't notice that the killer is now killing people in the, the canteen, wherever the hell like the dining area of the mine.
The break room, but
thank you.
Why do they have a break room when they're taking their lunch boxes down to the mine? So I don't know.
These are important
Oh,
questions.
you Canada people, you know.
So TJ and Axel are like, we got to go down there and help them and rescue them. So they both get all dressed up in their miner attire with the masks and with the helmet and with the lamp. Why? Just so we don't know who the killer is, basically, at that point. There's no other
Basically.
reason why they had to get all dressed up. Because again, once you're down there, shockingly, it's pretty well lit. You don't necessarily need a flashlight, although people are constantly pulling out flashlights, so who's to say?
Well, and when people are coming out of the mine at the beginning, they're wearing respirators because it's all poisonous gas. But there is no poisonous gas when you take your girlfriend down into the mine.
That's correct. That's good. Just enough to make them lightheaded. You just want a little bit of, break down those inhibitions. But tell me I'm wrong. Their plan is to go down there to let's get it on.
That seems to be, there's two driving forces in the movie, getting drunk and having sex, which I think are basic, primary, whatever. But for the ladies, maybe not a dank, smelly rat hole place filled with cannibalistic miners. You know, like, again, you're all 40, you're all working in the mine. Can't we pool our money and rent some kind of piece of crap tinfoil house that has like more than one bedroom? Is that too much to ask? Gentlemen?
It is Valentine's Day after all. I mean,
that's right.
Spring for something a little bit better than let's find an old cot down in the uranium mine. No, thank you. Well, and there's multiple moments because you're right. They're acting like they're 16 or something. They're like, we got to get it on here in this alley because mom and dad are at home and I can't afford money for a hotel room.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Ridiculous. Yeah. They're all like way too old to be dancing around like they just got out of high school and they just left prom.
Well, and that's the thing. This town is peopled with people who are either in their 60s or I guess 25-ish is the rest of the cast.
25
basically.
Is generous. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are no... everybody's old as hell, like the chief and the mayor and poor Mabel. And then everybody else are like, you know, I didn't go to college. I went straight to work and deep into the earth as a
It's
mole man.
only, the town is populated by the elderly, by the middle-aged, by wild dogs, and absolutely no young people or children.
It's a sad situation, really.
They
It's a
sacrifice
sad-
them to the mine god.
Exactly. But I have to say, so when it's revealed that it's Axel, like finally Sarah comes up and pulls off his face and it's like, oh my God, it's Axel. Keep in mind, there is literally no one left in the cast.
Everybody
else, everybody else is, but I guess that it was kind of that Agatha Christie and then there were none kind of situation.
Exactly.
Where you think Axel is dead as well because he fell down a chute into the water and I guess he never learned to swim. I don't know how it works. It was a pool of acid for all we know. And then it's like a close up of his face, and then it's the flashback to he was the kid underneath the bed, and now his mind has snapped. It's a good thing he has that moment of reverie because it allows her to pick up a big rock and hit him with it. As he said,
1 minute ago, they were all together and everything was fine. How did he keep leaving the group when they're in the mine to go kill people? How did that happen?
That's an excellent question. Well, they kept getting separated over and over again. We didn't even talk about Howard, the prankster guy, the funny guy who's like trying to snort like Coca-Cola. There's like extended moments. The really annoying dude that you're like, kill him first. Don't have him around for another 45 minutes, if you please.
100%.
And of course, he, like Axel, was the only one without a lady. He was trying to hit on the one chick, and she's like, I'm not feeling... She said, suck it up and zip it up. Yeah. So,
like,
suck it in and zip it up.
Don't snort cocaine or Coca-Cola and pretend it's cocaine if you ever want to have sex.
It's hilarious. Hilarious. And of course, he abandons the girls in the mine. at one point. They see the minor killer approaching, and he's like, "Deuces, ladies, I'm out of here."
It was ridiculous.
Some hero. Very sad situation. But I was going to say, you were mocking the moment because there's like a cave-in that strands evil Axel, the pickaxe killer, in a room. And the whole town comes in and kind of digs in a little bit, and you see him.
Once again, the whole town walked in, and yet they couldn't walk out.
They couldn't.
They're digging ladders. They're digging holes in the wall. What the hell?
They were helping out.
And half these MFers work there. You would think they could figure this out.
I mean, I can't imagine there aren't signs, right? Even if you've never been there before. It's not a labyrinth. There isn't a minotaur roaming around down there as far as we know.
Oh, that would have been good.
That would have been a different movie.
That might have been better.
But they peek in, and Axel is totally lost it. So now he's channeling his Harry Warden psycho cannibal because his arm got snapped off or something in the cave.
I missed that.
It was like they popped his arm off like he was a Ken doll. It was very sad. Snap. And he's laughing. I'm gonna go. Me and Harry will get you one day, as he runs deeper into the mine, never to be seen or heard from again. I thought it was kind of creepy.
That was the day that the town died because they had to close the mine, and then they had to move on to go work at the asbestos mine next.
That is correct.
In the next town.
Is there an actual mine for that? There should be. Hopefully they wait another 20 years before they have another Halloween, Valentine's Day dance. Can we wait another 20 years? I'll be back with one arm. See you then. Very sad situation. Do you have any other thoughts or feelings?
I literally do not, my friend. I would say this once again, the star of the show is the weird bartender. The costume was creepy as hell. Mm-hmm. And just what a bunch of weirdos they are. I was like, really? I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And then it just kind of got boring at the end. Once I got into the mine and running around in circles, that got a little boring.
Well, the one homie, David Crosby, gets popped in the head with a couple freaking spikes. One in the front, one in the side, and he still walks like 100 yards down the mine shaft to greet them. To like basically fall on them. They didn't find his body. His corpse found them. Very strange. Shall we go behind the scenes?
Oh, I want to hear. Share with me.
Okay. I'm still looking at Keith.
Do Canadians have tea time like the British when they're filming?
That's a good question. If they like tea, I guess they do. Let's see. The director said that the Sydney mines in Nova Scotia were chosen because of its rustic, atmospheric appearance. However, when the locals found out that they were going to be filming a movie there, they spent $50,000 to renovate the mine to look like state of the art. So when they arrived to film the movie, they had to spend $75,000 of their own money to turn the mine back to the way it was originally.
Oh my!
Good times.
Poor people. And yes, they do. As a former Commonwealth, they do have afternoon tea.
There you go. The film was shot in authentic mines, which were often as much as 900 feet underground. Ooh. And only certain lighting devices could be used in the mines because of the potential danger of methane explosions.
Nice.
There you go. One of the gory creations, like the special effects, were so realistic that the director threw up at the sight of it.
Okay, which would be that? The dude who had like the jello on his hair when he was trying to scare Mabel?
That was the most terrifying moment.
Which of these effects was so nauseating that it put Lucio Fulci into contortions and convulsions?
Unclear. Let's just say that. I think it was the boiled heart that did it. That was the final straw. In a recent interview, actor Neil Affleck, who played Axel, revealed that he still had the miner's helmet that he wore in the film. He kept it. There you
He
go.
uses it for sex time or what?
He uses it for minor love time, no question. He reenacts that opening scene. And his name's Neil Affleck, no relation to the
I know.
more famous.
I looked that up too.
Very sad. Let's see. Quentin Tarantino has named My Bloody Valentine as his all-time favorite slasher film.
He is ridiculous. Every time we watch some bullshit movie, you come up with Quentin Tarantino has said that he would die if this film didn't exist.
He would have long since murdered himself. We didn't even talk about, we have to talk about this. So after crazy old Axel laughs hysterically, maniacally, and runs back into the mine, immediately kicks into an old Canadian folk song.
Gordon Lightfoot.
It seemed like it was. It was Valentine's Day and a murder in the mine. I'm paraphrasing something like
But now you got to do it to the tune of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
It was, yes, that is correct. Sweet Jesus. The folk ballad that plays over the ending credits was added by composer Paul Zaza as an afterthought, clearly. The uncredited singer who does the vocal for the ballad was Scottish-Canadian tenor John McDermott. You know him, don't you?
Damn it! I wanted you to say Gordon Lightfoot.
Was done, uncredited by Gordon Lightfoot.
Yay!
No, it's kind of like the voice like from the Folksmen. Remember that from Mighty Wind?
Yes.
And a smelly old blanket that a Navajo wove.
That's a classic. A Mighty Wind Children, a classic on.
It's dynamite. Honestly, go back and watch My Bloody Valentine, but just fast forward to the end credits and just let that folk music wash over you. Good times.
It'll be worth the $3.99 on Amazon Prime.
That alone is worth the price of admission. One of the makeup designers shipped a dummy corpse to the set in a coffin, which caused much alarm when it arrived at Canadian Customs.
Womp womp.
Wah, wah, wah. As you might imagine, this movie came about because they were trying to cash in on the Halloween, Friday the 13th holiday slasher film thing. And they didn't want to tip their hand. So as far as people were concerned, the movie was called The Secret. The Secret. It wasn't until later that they decided to call it My Bloody Valentine, which is based upon that famous song. Do you know it? My Funny Valentine.
I was like, My Bloody Valentine is a song? Now, all I'm thinking about
the folk song.
All I'm thinking about now is our mother uses The Secret to find parking spots. So now it takes a whole different turn. So what exactly is our mother doing in order to get good parking spots?
That's a different secret, by the way.
You have to sacrifice a 30-something in a mine, and you can always find parking.
I always love The Secret. I was watching not a documentary, like what am I trying to say? A commercial, infomercial about The Secret. And this guy was like, my wife and I, we were living on food stamps. We're about to be evicted. The power was shut off. But then I started thinking positive thoughts. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I have these unpublished novels that I haven't done anything with. And then suddenly I was a millionaire. It's like, oh really? That's all it took?
All before the next week when the power was going to get shut off.
Before we had to become cannibals, I was able to sell my unpublished novel, and the rest is history.
Kevin, that is literally this year's American Horror Story.
You're telling me.
Except they had to take a pill. And they also claim that Quentin Tarantino was part of the writer vampire group.
I believe it. The end credit song is called The Ballad of Harry Warden. And they wanted a song that could be a hit single on a vinyl record, but they ran out of funding.
Oh,
very sad.
But you can tell they left the door wide open for part 2. They were so sure of themselves.
They wrote a sequel for, but This movie did not do very well at the box office, as you might imagine. So
Wait
sadly,
wait a minute. They wrote a sequel. This wouldn't be the guy from the infomercial on The Secret. Was it one of his unpublished novels?
it was very sad. He approached Paramount, the director, in 2001 with a synopsis for a sequel, but due to poor box office records with the original film, they declined.
They said, "Get out of here!
Get out of here and never come back." But then about 10 years later, they made My Bloody Valentine.
Was it a reimagining?
It's exactly the same story, except it's revealed, spoiler alert, that the killer in this version was actually TJ. TJ was the murderer, not Axel.
The French said, well, it could have been because they did a misdirection with TJ. Like, supposedly he was at a landfill and then he popped up.
That's correct.
They could have done like a Scream where they were just like gay lovers and wreaking their revenge on their oppressive small mining town.
So you're saying they could have been Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard, is what
For
you're
sure.
suggesting.
I'm
That they
just
both
upset-
did it.
I'm just upset with this jaunty necktie in this like super blue collar mining town in Canada with his flip collar and his shirt buttoned down to his belly button.
He brought that back with him from British Columbia.
That's
He was
it's
trying to
all the
impress him.
rage in BC, baby.
You're telling me. More than 5 minutes of the film was cut before it came out, mostly because John Lennon had just died. So they didn't feel there's an appetite for violent movies directly after that murder. So very sad. One of the scenes, like there was a, yes,
What?
this is true.
What?
This is true.
Like,
One
was
of-
someone like was just talking shit about John Lennon for five? It's still a horror movie. I don't know what cutting 5 minutes out of it's going to do anything.
Mark David Chapman was a miner from Nova Scotia. They didn't mention that. No, he wasn't. I'm just kidding.
Was he Gordon Lightfoot?
He was a fan of Gordon Lightfoot.
He was
well-
next on the list.
He was. If this doesn't do it, Gord, you're next. But so one of the scenes they cut out, because remember they find the couple dead, the sex couple with like the drill and like through them. Like they didn't show the scene; they just kind of showed them.
Screwed.
Boom! So that was one of the scenes that was cut out. Another thing that they didn't mention is that in the shower scene, all the guys are actually naked. They only filmed them from the waist up, but they're all for some reason
insisted there be extra nudity.
they insisted. They said, "We need just for me, just for
the the outtakes, the fun reel."
Exactly. It's a sad, sad situation.
It's Canadian.
Shall we talk about the cast for God's
Yes.
sakes? Let me see. We've got Paul Kelman played TJ, the mayor's son.
Who looks like, let me tell you this, he looks just like, you were right about how these people look like somebody more famous. So he looks like the dude from Lovejoy Mysteries, and I'm blanking on his name. He was in Deadwood.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. You're talking...
I can't believe I love him to bit, and I can't think of his name. He was even in Game of Thrones.
He was. You're right, but I can't remember his name either. What the hell's his name? His name was Al Swearingen. That was the character's name.
Son of a bitch.
But that's not him.
It's not him.
Paul Kelman, you know him from My Bloody Valentine, Black Roses, Caged Men. Oh my goodness. And something called Gas.
A couple of them were in Gas. Ian McShane.
Ian McShane.
He's Ian McShane's fake love child.
He was. Laurie Hallier played Sarah, the way too attractive minor girlfriend. You know her from My Bloody Valentine. She was in Star Trek Voyager.
Ooh. Yeah, because she's pretty enough to be shot by Phil Spector. That's how pretty she is.
That's not a joke. That's a sad situation.
It's a sad, sad situation.
She was in something called Strange Days and something called Civil Wars, which is a TV series with Mariel Hemingway back in 91. So that tells you something.
It seems to me that I might know Strange Days.
Neil Affleck, not the movie, the TV series, Strange Days.
All right.
Neil Affleck, you know him from My Bloody Valentine. Scanners!
Yes.
He was a medical student. He was the timing director on the Simpsons movie, and he worked on the Simpsons TV show.
You know who was
91,
in Strange
2000.
Days?
Who?
Ralph Fiennes.
Well, that's the movie.
Oh,
Angela Bassett. Yeah. This is
Catherine
not that
Bigelow.
Strange Days. Yes.
Oh, never mind. I got all
Keith-
excited.
Keith Knight played Hollis. We already discovered, and he just died in 2007, by the way.
Yeah.
Meatballs playing Fink. He was the White Rabbit in the Care Bears movie. He was in Avonlea for a season. Another thing I didn't mention is the guy who played Paul Kellman. He just died January 30th of this year.
Yeah. Well, he was like
TJ.
70.
72.
Yeah, because that proves my point. They were all like 40 in this other
That's true.
movie.
I mean, I can keep going through these.
You
Alf
don't know him.
Humphreys played Howard. He died in 2018 at the age of 64. Oh, look at this. He was actually in X2, X-Men United.
Oh.
He was in First Blood as Lester. He was in My Bloody Valentine, The Uninvited. So he actually was in a few things. I don't remember
Yeah.
him, though.
He crossed over to America, too.
Look at this. Cynthia Dale was Patty in My Bloody Valentine. She was Sheila in Moonstruck. She was in...
Sheila. Who the hell is Sheila in Moonstruck?
You know her, don't you? Street Legal was a series from 88 to 94. And Heavenly Bodies in 1984. I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, is that the one with Kate Winslet?
No.
Okay,
Anywho,
never mind.
other randos are in this. I'm not going to go through all these guys. They're more successful than we would have imagined. No offense, Nova Scotia. Shall we talk about our rating?
I'm still looking up Sheila from Moonstruck. I'm like, who
Don't
the
do
hell is
it.
Sheila?
My Bloody Valentine 1981 currently has a 58% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. The audience, 52%. So the audience thought even worse of it, sadly. Top critics, there's only 3 top critics who actually viewed it. And we had a whole thing. We had a whole thing about Rex Reed. Rex Reed did not review this movie.
Yeah,
Very
after
sad.
we decided to make Rex Reed our new go-to, he then from that point on never watched any of the movies that we are reviewing.
It's very sad. So, and I tried to Google it. No can do.
No, it's Jimmy Crack Corn from Fangoria, or
yes. It was the QAnon movie pamphlet, basically. Tom Buckley from the New York Times said, "My Bloody Valentine probably won't make you shiver with fright, but it's almost certain to make you squirm. First with irritation and then with revulsion." There you go. Quickly devolves into a piece of hack work. Ah, very sad.
He's not sad, but true.
Yeah, it's a sad situation. So, Aaron, what is your rating for My Bloody Valentine?
Literally, I am going to give it 3 out of 5 ambience because it will put you into a stupor.
3 out of 4 ambience. Sweet Jesus. I would say 3 out of 5 late night in the mind booty calls, if I have to say it. I think it's better than you did, but it's by no means good by any stretch of the imagination.
I was all set to frolic. Like I said, the first 30 minutes, it was amusingly obnoxious. Because it's Canadian, it's polite, nice, and no unnecessary boobalage, even for the 80s. But then it just got boring.
I agree.
That is the crime. You can be wacky, just don't bore me.
I agree. It's a sad, sad situation.
So have a beer, watch 30 minutes, fast forward to the love theme at the end, and... download it off of Spotify, I guess.
You could probably go on YouTube right now and type in, My Bloody Valentine closing credits and just let it wash over you. My question is, does the remake from 2008 or whatever it is, does it also have a folk song at the end? It
I
better.
assume you would know. I assumed you owned both versions.
I do. I own neither version. It's, no can do. Not feeling it.
So was this better the first watch? Is this the first time you saw it? The 9th time you saw it? What?
I think this might be the 3rd time I've seen it.
And does it keep getting better?
I don't know if I'd say that. I think there are moments that are remarkably effective, but overall it's just kind of run of the mill slasherisk. It's like when they get to the mine, it kind of goes off. It kind of becomes a little boring at that stage of the game because there's a lot of running from one end of the mine to the other. So
yeah, unnecessary scurrying. But until that, it was pretty good. I was down with it.
Not too shabby.
Down. I was actually watching it.
And again, I thought the reveal.
I'm checking the terrible Facebook to see which of my asshole friends are playing Wordle, which I refuse to.
So you like to check in just to make fun of them? Is that your move?
Yes. And then I post, "Oh, you're doing it now too." Sad emoji.
Wah wah. Well, thank you very much. There you have it. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Email us at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die at Gmail. Aaron, we're on Instagram.
We are on the Insta. And we are The Podcast That Wouldn't Die.
So check that out. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, review, and rate, if you will.
You can feel free to message us about 80s music references that you butcher, but that's all we'll accept.
That's it, baby. That is it. Aaron, you are also on the social media. What you doing?
Oh, God, I'm on so much social media. I'm on the Twitsk. I'm on the Insta. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I am on Instagram again.
Sweet Jesus.
Don't feed the pigeon. I'm on First Dibs, Aaron Doherty, and Aaron Doherty on Artsy, although that's not social media. But go ahead, buy some of my art. It's expensive, and I get half of it. Whoop, whoop.
Not too shabby at all. Next week, we are doing the Japanese fighting, futuristic, post-apocalyptic comedy, action film. I don't know what it is. Horror film.
I don't even know
fiction.
what you're talking about.
We're talking about Battle Royale, of course.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. I must have taken some of those Ambiens. I blacked it all out of my mind.
Good times. So check that out. Honestly, I think we saw it for free on Vudu or Tubi.
With those, they put on those commercial breaks for no apparent. It could be right in the middle of the action. There's no planning. 7 minutes, time for a commercial, mid-sentence. Let's just stop it there.
There's no rhyme or reason. It is anarchy in the streets. So you have to choose if you want the subtitles or if you want the dub. That's the question. What kind of foreign film watcher are you? And that tells us a lot about you, frankly.
Quite frankly, I did not have an option. So what did you watch it on that you were able to watch it with subtitles?
Well, I think that's the question. Where you choose to watch it are different options. You know what I mean?
I chose to watch it where it was free.
It was free in many places. So I watched it on Vudu for free with ads, and that was subtitled. And I think you watched it on Tubi. And that was dubbed.
It was dubbed, and it was horrible. It was dubbed like it was the Californians from Saturday Night Live.
I think that adds a special something.
Dude. There's so
They didn't say dude in this movie. Good Lord. We're 4 hours into this review. So go ahead and check out Battle Royale, and we'll see you next week. So thank you very much, and be well.
Goodbye, people. Don't go in a mine. Let's just leave it at that. Don't go in the mine.